o'clock. I'm going to call the City of Allegan City Council meeting to order. Could I please have roll call?
Councilmember Clark. Councilmember Westover.
Present.
Councilmember Walker. Here. Councilmember Canales. Councilmember Hooker.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Hands.
Present.
Mayor Perigo.
I am here.
You have a quorum.
And could I please get a motion to excuse Councilperson Canales and Councilperson Clark as they previously let us know that they would be absent tonight?
I'll make that motion.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Agenda item number 3 is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you are able, please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, next on the agenda is 4A, which is approval of the regular council meeting agenda for May 11th, 2026.
I'll make a motion to add an amendment to the agenda under Section 14 to appoint John Cook to the City at-Large Fire District.
All right, could I get a motion to approve the amended agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
Support.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We have to back up. We need to approve the motion to amend first, correct?
Yes.
All right, let's back up. Can I get a motion to approve?
Yeah.
make
There
a
was a
motion-
motion to approve it. There's a motion to second
I
it.
need a second.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to amend the agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Do we need to redo that first?
I would appreciate it.
All right, thank you. All right, now can I get a motion to approve the amended agenda?
So moved. Support.
It's been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And this is why I don't like amended agendas, Joel. 5A is approval of the regular council meeting minutes from April 27th, 2026. I do not know of any corrections, if anyone had any. Seeing none, could I get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda minutes.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion passes. Moving down to the next agenda item is 7A, which is acceptance of gifts received by the City of Allegan. And would staff like to go through these before?
Sure. For council and for the audience, earlier this year, you amended your agenda format, adding a section to acknowledge gifts that the city receives. Within the past time period between the last meeting and this meeting, we have received a total of $75 in donations to the Regent Theater. Kimberly Underwood donated $25 through our Give Butter online donation platform. And then an anonymous person donated $50 in cash to the City of Allegan for the Regent Theater.
All right, and we can do one motion to
Yep.
accept both gifts.
And your motion is to accept the gifts and direct city staff to send a thank you card.
All right,
Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept the gifts and have city staff send a thank you note.
Support.
it's been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion passes. All right, we'll move down to agenda number 9A, which is a public hearing and approval of the sale of city-owned parcel 51-290-003-00 on Week Street to Brandon and Melissa, I'm probably going to say this wrong, Genzink. All right. And does staff have a report on this?
Yes, I'll take it from here, Mayor. Thank you. This evening, you're holding a public hearing, and then it's a recommendation from staff that you approve the sale of this parcel on Week Street to Brandon and Melissa Genzink. On the screens and in your packet, it shows the highlighted yellow area, which is roughly the location of the lot that the city owns that is for sale. Back in July of last year, council, you passed a motion to enter into a contract with Reichert Realtors Platinum Group. They're the realtor for the city, to list for sale all city-owned properties that are not currently used for government purposes. So the city owns a handful of vacant lots like this that we can sell outright on the market. And then we owe what I would describe as devil strips between a right-of-way and an adjacent parcel. It might be 3 feet wide by 10 feet wide. So once we get through these sales, we're going to be talking to those property owners that are adjacent to that to see if we can just quit claim those parcels to them. The Realtor listed this property on September 25th online, as well as placing a for sale sign on the property. Then in April, Brandon and Melissa Genzink submitted a letter of intent to the city to purchase the lot for $18,000. On April 13th, council, you directed staff, you scheduled a public hearing and directed staff to begin the process of developing a purchase and development agreement. And then on April 23rd, April 30th, and May 7th, this public hearing was noticed in the Allegan County News per our city charter. That exact section of our city charter is Chapter 13, Section 13-9. And then May 11th tonight is the public hearing. In light of some concerns about the placement of the lot that required the city manager to order a survey for the property, we are requesting that the due diligence period that is originally 30 days in the agreement be extended to 6 months so the property owners can work their way through the necessary approval processes at our planning commission and through other various boards of approval. Any questions for staff on the process to date?
Was that survey done last Friday?
Yes, that survey was done last Friday. The stakes were installed in the ground shortly after the noon hour. I received a copy of the printed survey today from the survey company. I shared that with our realtor, and our realtor forwarded it on to the people that are purchasing the property.
Any other questions for staff? No? All right. At 6:07, I will open the public hearing. If you have a question or not a question, a comment, please approach the podium, state your name and address.
My name's Brandon Sparks. I live at 3 Week Street, Allegan, Michigan. I moved back to Allegan in 2018 after after I found out my daughter was being abused. I got back here, I won custody of my daughter. I decided I needed to buy a house. I bought a house on 3 Week Street. I didn't have time to do all the research I needed to do, especially when it comes to like adjacent properties or anything like that. But I was a real estate agent in Virginia. I am a construction project manager, and I have built all over the world. I've dealt with countries, and we go back and forth. It's a give and take. You redline, you fix, you make progress. But the first thing you do is introduce yourself. You introduce yourself because that's the right thing to do. I didn't get a phone call. I didn't get a message. I didn't get anything. I'm the adjacent property owner of a substandard lot. This lot is 0.17 acres, okay? Everybody on this house, or everybody on this street, I've talked to everybody. They don't want this. Nobody in my neighborhood wants this. This is a retired neighborhood, okay? Everybody on my street is basically retired. This is going to be, one, an eyesore, but you guys didn't even do your work. This manager that you call, that you guys hired to represent you, doesn't know anything about project management. He doesn't know anything about construction management. He doesn't even know the first thing about respecting somebody who introduces himself. And I tried to introduce myself to this man, and he disrespected me by not giving me the respect that I've earned. Not because I'm asking for something. I've earned everything I got. from the ground up. My family has been in Michigan before it was even a state. I'm a Bonnie, okay? I go back to the Hercules and the Mayflower. My family built this country. We're all woodsmen and we're all frontiersmen. My great-grandfather was murdered in St. Ignace for taking in a family. He kicked out the father for abusing the kid. The guy got a 30-30 and shot him. He was the log manager in St. Ignace. His name was Frederick Bonnie. You guys can look that up. His parents were buried in Salem. All my family's buried around here. In fact, you hired my father, and he worked here for a lot of years, Tim Canarian. So I know you guys. I know this town. I know everything about it. You guys didn't give me any respect. And when I introduced myself to him, he didn't show me respect. He didn't even do any research or basic research about me. You know who I am. You know what I represent. You guys did nothing to help me. This should not even be a question. This should never have made it this far. A real estate agent should have said, no, this is not a good idea to buy. In fact, a real estate agent worth his salt would have came to me and said something. So I'm going to leave it at that. I don't recommend anybody approve this. And in fact, it should go back to me and allow me to purchase it, to add it to my property, because it makes no sense putting a house there at all, real estate or any other reason. You can say that it's for public housing. Well, you just approved 8 apartments downtown. Let's focus on those. Let's get those done. Let's find out where that money is going, because I've asked some pretty serious questions, and I forwarded some pretty serious Freedom of Information Act requests for you guys. Now, I'm going to let you guys know who I am, just a little bit. I'm a military police officer. I did 3 years, multiple deployments downrange. Again, I switched out of that, went to Aviation Maintenance Administration. I was in charge of a program called Airworthiness Bulletins. It's a program that's very important. It's actually worth millions. If an aircraft bulletin comes out, you need to be on it right away, get that aircraft down, replace the part if it's necessary. It's all important. These are things that I've done. I've managed budgets 3 or 4 times the size of Allegan's. It's like 32 million here. I was managing $150 to $250 million budget on a regular for years. So there isn't anything you guys can come across me with that I can't handle. I understand what I'm asking of you. I understand the work that needs to go into it. I understand how to build in historical areas. I was also the NAVFAC operations chief and disaster coordinator for Hawaii. I managed 3 hurricanes. When I walked in there, they didn't even have chainsaws ready or pre-positioned equipment for downtown Honolulu. That was a problem. There are things that I can help you with if you allow me to, which I'm trying to volunteer. I'm actually a member of the CERT team for the county. So I did that through the state of Michigan. I'm here for you guys. I'm not here to fight. I'm not here to even be an asshole. I'm sorry about that. I'm just here because I feel like I've been disrespected. And this is the city that I love and that I grew up in. And I understand what it takes to run complex systems. You guys get what I'm saying? Okay, thank you.
Is there any other public comment pertaining to this agenda item for tonight?
Hello, Chris St. Koviak, 355 Grand Street, and I also own the property right behind this lot. And I'm here more to talk about your process. My neighbors asked me what the process was for me to get it, so I brought my file. When this property all became available in 2012, Rob Hillard was the city manager. This was back taxes property from the old Weeks family, who I bought my property from. The white house I live in is the Weeks house. They developed this street. For some reason, they held on to this property forever, and they wouldn't sell it to me when I bought my house. Strangely, they let it go for back taxes in 2012. So Rob called me and said, "Are you interested in this?" And I said, "Sure." And at the time, my mother-in-law was living behind me in another house, so her property actually abutted to this property. So my mother-in-law abutted on the west side. At the time, Mr. Ivester's daughter, I don't know if you guys know Mr. Ivester, I'm sure some of you may. He was on the north side, and Becky Corbett was on the south side. She was principal at North Ward at the time. And when this came up and went back to the city, I simply talked to Rob and said, "Rob, what can we do?" And he said, "Talk to your neighbors, and you work out a deal with them, and the city will be happy to do whatever you can decide to have good neighbors." He also specifically told me, I remember, he said, "The City of Allegan is not in the business of buying and selling land," which is probably true. I talked with all these neighbors. I'll make it short. We worked out a deal where I got the backside for my mother-in-law with a 15-foot driveway to Week Street because it was landlocked. That was sold to me for back taxes for give me a second. $665. Now, I don't know if any of you have looked at these maps of this property, but it was a pretty big chunk of the ravine for $665. I took 15 feet of the north end of Lot 7, which is in question here now, for access. And the deal was Becky Corbett was supposed to finalize and take her section right next to her house. She was going to get that. She was offered that for $915, the back taxes owing. And I talked with Becky. I prodded her, and she never finished the deal after I did. And I don't know why. And I didn't know that until I saw a for sale sign on this lot on Week Street. And I asked my neighbor, and this is the other neighbor on the north end. I said, "What's up with this? I thought Becky Corbett bought this back in 2013. Well, it turned out, I don't know what happened with her. She moved. She never finalized the deal. So I asked them, "What's this lot selling for?" $20,000. My last letter to Rob Hilliard was when Becky was, I wasn't sure if she was going to finalize it. "Hey, Rob, if she doesn't finalize this, contact me. I'll buy that whole lot." Just made sense to keep it. It's been in the Weeks family all this time. So I don't know how the city got from talking to neighbors about lots for sale to just throwing up a sign. Now, maybe I'm wrong, because I don't know all the facts here, but maybe you contacted the adjoining owners. But that used to be the policy, and that was a good policy. The idea of the city just taking its lots, and I've seen these for sale signs around town, and just throwing up a for sale sign for some market value price, I don't think that's a very good service to your residents. Now, I guess maybe I'm too late here, but I don't want to buy that lot for 20 grand, what it was listed for. I don't want to pay 18 for it. I don't think he does. But I'm here because I'm wondering where the process changed. When did this become, we're going to start hiring a realtor to sell lots for the city to make money, versus at least letting the adjacent owners know that this may come up for sale in dealing with your citizens. I know many of you, and I'll take Will, for example. I know if Will owned a lot, if he had a house and right next door, the lot came up for sale for back taxes, he'd want to know. He probably would know, because he'd look and find it. That's just a common courtesy in a small town like this. My understanding, and maybe I'm wrong, and I'm missing something, but without letting these adjacent owners, I never got a notice that this was coming up for sale. All of a sudden, somebody decided on 22,000 and put a for sale sign and hired a realtor. Maybe that became policy. I know 2013 is a long time ago, but the way it was done back when I dealt with the city, I think is appropriate. And I look through your ordinances, and I can't find any direction as to how you handle these things. So I don't know where the direction came from, where the decision-making came that this is how we're going to deal with taxes, or property that reverts because of taxes. But I think you ought to look at it and maybe consider having some guidelines when you deal with people in the city who have adjacent property to property that the city owns that they want to sell. I think you'd want that common courtesy yourselves. And, just to close, I don't want this property. I wouldn't take it from this guy if he wanted it. But I think you ought to look at this process. When I looked at your website, and I stay out of the city's business as much as I can, but I saw your chart. It was, if you remember their blocks, I don't know when you put this together, but it showed your hierarchy. The biggest block on the top is citizens of Allegan, then you guys, city manager, then all the departments. So I think at least having a ordinance that gives notice in a case like this would be fair to everyone and avoid problems, avoid trouble. On top of that, I look at this, if you've seen it, and I think, Tracy, you went out there, and I apologize for emailing you today. I don't know if that was inappropriate or not, but I wanted to just chat with you. If you saw that pole, it has to be moved for a driveway, or it has to be moving the guy wires for a driveway. I don't know how you're gonna even fit a driveway in there. So I'll leave it at that. I'm way over my time. I'm assuming if you only give me 3 minutes for this. So, thank you.
Is there any other public comment on this agenda item?
My name is Brandon Genzink. We're at 220 James Street, and we moved to Allegan a couple years ago and fallen in love with it. And if I'm here to better, or I want to help better the Allegan community, and if that's you guys selling this property to us, then great. But if it's, and putting a house there, but if it's not, people not wanting to put a house there, then okay, that's fine. I'm good. So.
Is there any other?
My name's Alex Wilkening, 211 Locust. If I'm reading the timeline correctly, the property was for sale for a little over 6 months, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Posted, signed, and as an aside, I would like to note that this very same community has on several occasions been very upset about the city doing the neighborly thing and trying to sell properties for back taxes to potential business owners, specifically commercial properties. And so it's not okay to do that to try to improve our downtown, but it is the appropriate thing to do in a residential situation. I'm just very confused. I don't have any stake in this, and I don't want to disrespect anybody who's spoken. And so I just don't have enough information. I just want to say, to me, as a resident, it looks like it was for sale for a long period of time. And that if there were other parties interested, they could have tried to buy it, probably for a reduced price. They could have put an offer into the city for much less than the $20,000 listing price. And so, as a citizen who doesn't know anything and is not trying to make anybody angry, this feels like a fairly reasonable sale process. So, I guess thank you, and hopefully this works out for everybody. Thanks.
Any other comment for this agenda item?
Can I just say something else real quick? It won't be inappropriate.
Oh, sure.
One thing I want to say, just so you guys know just a little bit about me. I am disabled. I got PTSD and major depression. I don't focus on the paper. I don't even get it. I don't pay attention to much else except for my family. And I did that on purpose. When I retired out of the Navy, the only thing my mission was family. I was successful in that. My son and daughter both are graduating this year. Amazingly, my son's going to Olivet to wrestle. He wants to be a teacher and coach here. Chase is his best friend. Lance, I don't know if you guys know Lance, his dad is an amazing human being too. There's a lot of great people out here. I can't be the blanket I need to be for my family if I'm paying attention to everything else out there. That being said, there are processes that are just neighborly, regardless of legality. Legality is, in my opinion, a rich man's way of not doing business man to man. And that is just how I feel about things, because I was married to a doctor. I lived in the most affluent neighborhood in Melbourne. I've lived a really good life. I've got plenty of family. I've got a really good, and I try to share that. I bring people off the street into my home, and I help manage and mentor homeless men. There's one at my house right now. All right, I'm doing that right now. I teach them to live by faith and by hard work, because that's the only two things in life that are going to get you anywhere. Okay? I'm not here as a businessman or real estate or any agenda. I'm here as a father and a citizen. And I have a skill set. I have a really good skill set. I've got lots of experience doing audits and things like that. And that's what I'm doing. I'm going to find out everything. But it's going to be very respectful, I promise. I love you guys. I love this community. Thank you. Oh, and I've been taking care of that property for 5.5 years, and I never asked for anything. So just know that that property has been maintained by me, and never once did the city offer to do anything. So yeah, I do understand that you guys have a system, and if you knew that system was 6 months ago, why weren't you taking care of the property for at least 6 months that you realized that was for sale? Again, I'm here as a citizen. I know what I'm doing. I know how to ask good questions. I can pull any information out of any system. That's what database guys do. Thanks.
Any other comments for this agenda item? All right, I am seeing none. All right, so count.
Just a reminder for Mayor, per section 13.9 of the city charter, you need an affirmative vote of 5/7 of all the council members elect to sell property. So since we are missing 2 council members tonight, a 4-1 vote would not qualify as a sale. So I just want you guys to be aware of that. It has to be a 5/7 vote of all council members elect per your city charter, which is like your constitution.
All right, thank you. And I will go ahead and officially close the public comment at 6:29. All right, council. We need to have a motion. All of our motions have to be affirmative, so, and then we can discuss it once we have the motion on the table.
Gotcha.
Yep. So can I get a motion to approve the sale of city-owned parcel 51-290-003-00 on Week Street.
I'll make a motion for the sale of the property on Week Street.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported. All right, now, council, let's talk about this.
Can I start?
Sure.
So, Brandon, I know not. It just sounds like you're not sure, so are you still, in? Do you still want to purchase the property? No, the other Brandon, sorry, sorry, Mr. Genzink. Yeah, okay, just, I was confused by what you said, like, either way, so I wanted to double check with that first. And then, but Joel, like, none of the neighbors that are here, like, did any of them reach out the last 6 months to even ask about, like,
The only person who reached out was Mr. Sparks, who reached out to me, I look at my calendar, but it's about a week and a half ago, just inquiring. We had 2 face-to-face conversations, one in my office, one up at the front of the office, and then several emails, communications as well, just talking about the process, talking about the history, what we heard this evening. And then he did follow up with a request to purchase the property, which I forwarded to council. And that was after we've started this process.
right?
So,
But none of them reached out, like, between September and April, like,
Nope.
just asking if
No
we'd sell it for
inquiries.
less or anything? Okay, thank you.
Will, did you have?
Well, I think this needs to be tabled until we can discuss it further.
I'm fine either way, but the process that we laid out because there was always a concern of backroom deals and other things when we don't go to the open market and put it in through a realtor. We'll entertain any offer, but the realtor was so that they would market it, so that it was arm's length, so there was no accusations of us
Yeah.
giving it to somebody else, because that has been an issue in the past. And that's why I asked if we had put a sign up, because I think a sign is a pretty good notice, as well as a listing of the property for sale is also a good notice going out to anybody looking for a property that it is for sale. Our charter's pretty explicit, that we need the 5/7 to sell any property. It's interesting history, but it looks like the previous neighbor didn't decide to continue on and do the purchase. And then it's just been sitting on our tax rolls, or off our tax rolls. My view on it is, I prefer to sell it for the most we can, but if there's a better use for it, but I've, had people say, well, we undervalue our taxable properties elsewhere in the town because we give Oprahs. This would actually create a new home, a new property, which technically is a bigger tax value to the city than just having an adjacent to join 2 lots. So from that standpoint, it is a more advantageous as far as income to the city, because I've heard complaints about us giving up income to the city because of our Oprahs and our Pels. So, and I've also had lots of people always saying to us that we need more housing. That's been yelled at me. It's been on our council goals for years to increase housing. We've also adjusted our zoning to allow for smaller housings, to allow for infill housing, to allow for mother-in-law suites, things like that, so that we could increase the number of housing units available to the community. So when we had properties that were buildable, I remember this discussion, was why we sent these off to be listed was, are they buildable? If they're buildable, list them, is what we had said to Joel and to direct the city staff to do. Because we've been on a goal for a long time to sell off any of these properties that are buildable in the city. We don't want them on our rolls. We prefer them to be built. So I'm fine either way if we want to put it on to table it so that we can discuss it more, to review more. to allow for a counteroffer to be given, because the offer that we received so far wasn't really an offer of an amount, just that they were interested. So I didn't have any actual offer that I saw in the packet, just say, could you kind of hold off on doing it, was more what was requested.
Right, right.
Just for clarification, the original offer did have an amount in it. You're referring to the second offer that came in via
Yeah, I'm
email.
referring to
Okay.
the offer from the second
Thank you.
offer, yes. I'm not referring to, the offer that we have is on the table. There is an agreement that's been negotiated. It's for 18,000. I'm fine selling it at that. Like I said, I've been inundated constantly with, we need more housing. And this provides more housing.
The,
Oh, sorry, I was just gonna,
Yeah, so
go ahead.
as far as the property goes, it was listed to the open market for roughly 6 months, so anybody had a fair chance at it. It does a few things for the city. Sells a property at fair market value, so we get the revenue for that. It qualifies and helps with our housing need, more houses in the market, and potential tax revenue.
The sign went out on September 25th. There was a sign out there
correct,
back then.
correct.
Okay. And do we have any policy for contacting neighbor parcels?
For selling property?
Yeah.
No, we do not. I would just echo what Mayor Pro Tem Hands and what Councilmember Hooker said. There's a reason why you chose to go this way. It's because you heard from the public prior to this that it's who you knew. It's how you got one of these parcels. And you made a decision last year to identify all the non-government purposed city-owned parcels. You went out for bid. We had 2 realtors bid on to be our realtor. Reichert Realty Platinum Group is the one that council chose. And then we just started putting, working with, that office to put signs out there.
Yeah, I have nothing more to add. My fellow council members have summed up everything that I had, and we have been asked, as Mayor Pro Tem Hance called them, backroom deals. We, heard from the public of they want to see what we're doing, and we want to be transparent. So this is the route we went. We're not going to, contact neighbors or this person or that person and ask them if they want to buy it. We want it open to anybody to put a bid on it. So that is the way we went with it. So there is a motion on the table to approve this sale. If we table it, Peter, you're the person I'm going to look to with the motion on the table. Do we have to move forward with that? But then Councilperson Walker has also talked about tabling it.
I think we'd have to have a vote on it first, if I'm right.
Correct, yes, there's a motion on the table to open discussion. There was someone said maybe we should table it. I don't have in our notes that someone said,
Nobody's motion.
no one's made a
Motion to do
motion to do
that?
that.
Correct.
If there's a
Okay.
motion to do that, then all discussion stops and you vote on that. And then you can either table it to a specific meeting. Staff's recommendation is that you table it to the next meeting.
Okay, all right. Well,
Well, I would, I'm having a hard time knowing that the signs were out there that long. And we could have gotten to this point a lot sooner. I think that we should have, I don't know if it's an ordinance or maybe we should do something formal in the future and to address this issue. I think it's just a good thing to do for the city, to notify neighbors, whatever. But a sign is a lot of notification, so
Yeah, and,
having a hard time not.
okay.
and just to echo, I mean, it was about a year ago, and it got quite heated in here all around because we were accused of not selling it publicly. And so as a council, we did agree that everything going forward is just going to be public. So I'm sorry. But I think that we should go forward tonight with the motion.
All right, so there is the motion on the table to approve the sale of parcel 51-290-003-00 on Week Street to Brandon and Melissa Genzink. So I'm going to ask,
There is a staff recommendation to extend the due diligence to 6 months. Are you
Okay.
including that in your motion?
That wasn't included in the original motion. So I would make a motion to extend the due diligence to 6 months.
thank you. Can I get that motion?
Support.
Okay, and
So to follow Robert's rules, because we have a person in this audience that knows it pretty well, you're making a motion to amend the original motion.
To amend, okay, I'm making a motion to amend the original motion to include a 6-month extension of the due diligence for the purchase sale agreement for parcel 51-290-0003-00 to Brandon and Melissa Genzink.
And I support the amendment.
all right.
Now we vote on the amendment.
Amendment. All those in favor of approving the amendment, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Now a motion on
I-
the vote on the original motion.
All right, now we're gonna have a vote on the original motion, and you guys have down who? All right. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Before I move on to the next agenda item, could I please have the time clock put up for?
Yes, we
public
solved that problem.
comment? All right,
And
thank you.
and staff apologizes for that.
All right, thank you. Moving down to the next agenda item is 9B, which is a public hearing for the FY 2027 City of Allegan budget. And staff, do you have a presentation beforehand?
Yes, we have a presentation for council and for the public. Just a reminder for council, tonight is just a public hearing. It's to receive comments from the public. Any comments that are received will be reviewed by staff regarding our FY '27 budget, and then we will share those with council. Your budget, per your charter, has to be adopted by the last meeting in May. So for us, that's May 26th, which is a Tuesday. So please keep that in mind. The 25th is Memorial Day. So tonight, I am going to go over several items regarding our FY '27 budget. Fiscal year '27 starts on July 1st and goes through June 30th of the following year. Definition of a budget. So when we talk about budgets in its simplest term for you, it's a plan. It's a plan for the coordination of resources and our expenditures. When you think of public bodies, we're looking at it as a guide for how the legislative body, which is our city council, is going to allocate those resources to meet your obligations as well as community goals. Our budget is never a set it and forget it. It is a continuous cycle. So we're always evaluating our budget, making modifications as needed, and then we're reevaluating it. Your budget is controlled by your city charter, state laws, and local ordinances. This image on the screen right now is a good reminder for council on what the budget cycle looks like for us. Right now, we are really in the bottom portion of this cycle between developing the budget and adopting the budget, which you'll be doing at your next meeting. As you can see, you start in the top right-hand corner. That's where we establish vision and goals. Then we set our priorities, objectives. Then we start putting numbers together and developing it. Then we have council adopt the budget. Then we move on into implementation. And then we begin our monitoring and our results, which is known as the audit that you guys see every year. And then during that process, we are making, budget adjustments, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter budget adjustments that council approves each year. We go to the next slide, my friend.
And Joel, we can
Fire away. Yeah, council, you can ask me as many questions
say
as you want.
tell council, yeah, to ask questions as we go, just.
All right, yeah, feel free to stop me if you need clarification on something. The budget schedule for fiscal year '27 looks something like this. You'll recall back in November of '25, we spent a Saturday in here just doing some visioning. You know, council, you are residents of the city. You are elected by the residents of the city. You spend your free time out and about in the city. You, couple council members here, hold regular coffee with council at various locations throughout the town. Every once in a while, another council member joins you, but you can only have 3 at those, because once you get above 4, you're in violation of the Open Meetings Act.
Well, and I want to say too, this is a public meeting. These
Yep.
are all public and available
Correct.
for
So
everyone
the
to come
November
to.
meeting is a public meeting. In January, that's work behind the scenes. Our finance director sends out budget worksheets to each of our department supervisors. They put their numbers together, their requests together. Those come back to us at the end of January. In February, city staff, myself and our finance director, we review what's been submitted. That is a joint meeting with department supervisors. And then we move down into our strategic planning with council at the end of February. In March, again, this is behind the scenes work. Staff is finalizing the draft budget. And then in April, we have 2 public budget sessions with city council. This past year, it was April 8th and then April 9th. And then on April 27th, you scheduled the public hearing for this 2027 budget, which we're having tonight on May 27th. And then you'll be adopting it on May 26th. So, a high-level snapshot of what comprises the City of Allegan. We have 40 full-time employees. We have 19 part-time employees. There's a little more than 5,000 residents who call Allegan home. Allegan is, encompasses roughly 4.26 miles. We have 29 miles of roads that the city has to maintain. We have 10 city parks. We have 8 public parking lots, 1 water treatment plant, 1 water resource recovery facility. I'm going to back up. The water treatment plant is a reverse osmosis treatment plant that this community back in 2009, 10, and 11 chose to install. It is one of 3 reverse osmosis treatment plants in the state of Michigan. Our water system is unlike any neighboring water system. They have to bring their water to our plant to have it tested before it can go out in their system. So we are kind of the gold standard when it comes to this. This is something the community decided back in 2010 to install. We have 36 miles of water mains, 32 miles of sewer mains, 1 full-time police department, 1 municipal airport, 1 civic auditorium, that's the Griswold Auditorium, and 1 movie theater, the Regent Movie Theater that the city owns and manages. I'm glad a resident who has left the meeting spoke earlier. This organizational chart is something we created several years ago. It's kind of pounded into the brains of public administration students when we start our education at a young age. The citizens are always at the top of the organizational chart, and that's citizens of collective citizens. All 5,000 and some change of citizens. Collectively, they elect council. They walk to the polls and they choose the 7 members of the public they want to represent the city, to set the policies, and the city council then hires the city manager. The city manager then turns around and manages the various departments. The departments we have here is the assistant city manager that oversees downtown and neighborhood services and promotions and events. So downtown and neighborhood services includes downtown development, code enforcement, neighborhood programs, economic development, planning and zoning. Promotions and events is our Griswold Auditorium, our Regent Theater, our Farmers Market, which this week will be the second week of our farmers market up and running in the Cutler Street parking lot, as well as all the events assigned to Positively Allegan. We then have a Department of Public Works. The Department of Public Works oversees the city's municipal airport, the cemetery, the city dam, our motor vehicle pool system, our 10 parks we have, our storm sewers, and our streets and sidewalks. Our Water Utilities Department oversees our drinking water treatment plant. That's that reverse osmosis plant. Our water distribution and sewer collection system, our water resource recovery facility, as well as the city facility maintenance person. The reason city facility maintenance falls under water utilities is because probably 60 to 80% of that individual's time is working on the pipes and machines at the plants. The finance department, that is pretty much what you think of when you think of City Hall, accounts payable and receivable, assessing, City Hall customer service, human resources and payroll, processing all the taxes, our water, sewer, utility billing, cemetery management, our city clerk, elections and records management. And then our police department is focused on community policing, criminal investigation, school crossing guards, which takes up the majority of the part-time employees we have, as well as the liaison to the Allegan Fire District, which is a joint fire department between Allegan Township and the City of Allegan, as well as our contract with Life EMS. Earlier today, Mayor Pro Tem Hands referenced our goals, and how housing's always been one of the big goals. This year, during the strategic planning process, council has decided to look at establishing civic pillars. What are the things that hold up the city? What are the things we believe in as a city here? We're a safe community. Allegan prioritizes safety of residents, businesses, and visitors and their persons and property. We are a growing community. Allegan strategically leverages available tools to attract private investment and support sustainable growth. We are a stewarded community. Allegan responsibly maintains and improves city-owned assets to ensure long-term quality and value. We are a welcoming community. Allegan is a community for all, delivering public services in an inclusive, accessible, and equitable manner. We're an optimized community. Allegan operates as a well-governed, fiscally responsible organization committed to effective and transparent service. So, where have we been? So as we look to the future, sometimes it's good to hit pause and do a reflection on what we've accomplished. We've put together just the big projects for a highlight reel on what we've accomplished over time. Thank you. In 2018, we finished the renovation of the riverfront, which started way back in the mid-'80s when the group of citizens said, our riverfront can be more. It can be designed for the people. And they built a boardwalk over the seawall. They established Mayhem Park. And then in the 2010s, 2015s, my predecessor, Rob Hilliard, led the way working with a very forward-thinking council to take half the parking lot that was on the riverfront behind the buildings, install a band, what I'm going to call a band stage, and some grass area to get more activity on the riverfront for the people. And then when I showed up here in 2017, the city council at that time was very clear. We need a splash pad down there. We want to increase the park usage down there. So that city council said, we're going to figure out how to pull this off. And they got a $135,000 grant from the Perigo Community Foundation to help with the splash pad, and then they were able to pull off the splash pad and fireplace and pedestrian promenade and what you see now on the west side of that riverfront in 2018. In 2019, After 40 years of this community talking about the need for a new city hall and not having a city hall on Locust Street, and then as well as having all of our meetings at the Griswold Auditorium, that council said, let's build a new city hall. Well, instead of building the new city hall, we found a vacant, dilapidated commercial building that we're sitting in right now. The city acquired this building, went out to bid, did a design build program with Progressive A&E out of Grand Rapids, and we built a very accessible city hall that is very transparent with all the windows. Anybody walking by can see what's going in. The doors are open. We have technology now where people can see the information, and they're not just wondering what council might be looking at on the papers at the DS. River Street was resurfaced during this year. The Russell Robinson neighborhood got new sewer mains, new water mains, new roads, new storm sewer. The Wolcott Highland neighborhood, they received new water mains, new service lane, new sewer mains, new storm sewer was installed out there as well, and the roads were all done. We built a new terminal out at Pageant Field. And then working with Allegan Public Schools, we identified pathways from the neighborhoods to the schools, and we utilized a grant program called Safe Routes to School, and we installed miles of new sidewalk in our neighborhoods. In 2021, we reconstructed the Cutler Street parking lot. In 2022, we improved the Second Street Bridge, specifically the lower half of the Second Street Bridge, with a new deck, as well as new girdles and supporting structures on the underside of the deck. In 2023, a very big lift was Phase 1 of the downtown streetscape. That included new sewer mains, new water mains, replacing old lead service lead pipes, new sidewalks, new roads, increased pedestrian gathering places, new landscaping, new furniture. The cool thing about that, the one that gets me the most excited, is that we were able to work with the students at Allegan Tech Center. And instead of just buying boring-looking bike racks, we went to the Tech Center, Parker and I did, met with a couple instructors, met with the students and said, let's free you. Why don't you guys go ahead and design some bike racks for us? Here's some concepts. And they designed and welded and manufactured all the bike racks we have downtown. They all came from the students of this community. In 2024, MDOT reached out to us and said, we're going to resurface M89. I responded and said, excellent. Since the early 2000s, the city wanted to realign Hubbard Street so it would line up with M40, which is General Drive to the locals here, but M40. MDOT looked at the drawing I had from the early 2000s and said that will never work. The geometric angle of that turn is not safe. And I said, well, this community really wanted to realign Hubbard with M40. They actually bought two structures and removed them to acquire the land for the realignment. What's our options? And so MDOT worked with the city. We had 3 or 4 engineers go through a roundabout design process. Going through the 3 or 4 engineers was to just verify it each time that this roundabout will work here. And we ended up with a roundabout in a new Hubbard Street gateway, which we call the Western Gateway into the downtown. In 2025, we secured some significant grants to address some components that were failing at Mayhem Park. It was approaching 40 years of its life. It's still one of the coolest parks, I think, in West Michigan with the terraced seating down there. But we replaced the gazebo, which was having some dry rot issues at its foundation, with a more substantial, smaller band shell. When I say smaller, smaller than what we have on the Riverfront Park. We have heard from the bands that have played there, they've really enjoyed being able to be underneath a structure when they play before they had to be outside the gazebo. Now they can be underneath and they enjoy the sound. We've also put in a pedestrian ADA compliant seating area, some additional furniture, refreshed the landscaping. 2025, we also reconstructed Hubbard Street parking lot, which is out here behind the Regent Theater. Or if you're a fan of Pizza Hut, you call it the Pizza Hut parking lot. We resurfaced the Water Street parking lot at that time. We resurfaced Ely Street all the way from the city limits into the roundabout. The Griswold Auditorium, we invested just north of $130,000 doing exterior work on that building. We tuck pointed all the loose mortar around the building. We repaired where warranted the wood windows, and we repainted all of the wood windows. We also repaired all parts of the fire escape system on the side of that building, so they could be, safely accessible in case of an emergency at the Griswold. And then we installed 6 more hangars at Pageant Field. In 2026, which is where we are now, you can look out the window, you can see the work we're doing here. We're doing phase 2 of the downtown project, new water mains, new sewer mains, a reconstructed road, new sidewalk where warranted, and some new trees and landscaping. This will be Trowbridge Street from Locust all the way to Walnut, and then Walnut Street and Chestnut Street all the way from Trowbridge down to Hubbard. Airway Drive is being resurfaced as we speak. The base layer is in right now. I believe they're going to finish the wear course next week. Academy Street sidewalk. So years will escape me, but I think it was like 3 years ago, firefighter from Paul passed away in the line of duty, but was buried at Oakwood Cemetery. A gentleman who lives on Academy went to the gravesite as part of the service, and then made a beeline down to City Hall. He wasn't happy. At that time, we were doing the downtown project. And he shared with me how back in, pick your date, early 2010s, the neighbors requested a sidewalk to be installed along Academy because so many kids walking towards Westward had to go through, almost cross-country. And I said, hey, a lot of projects in the hopper. Projects are expensive. I hear you, but this is something that's, we'll put this one in the hopper too. So this year, our DPW will be installing that sidewalk all along Academy from Arbor all the way to Sherman Street. The coolness about this, and you may not see it on the screen so much, but Allegan Public Schools is building a new elementary school complex just to the west of Sherman Street. This sidewalk along Academy is going to connect to the sidewalk on Sherman Street and then feed those kids right into that complex. So I lived in the country when I was a kid, so we always took the yellow school bus everywhere we went. We raised our kids in more of a city, so my kids always got to walk to school on a sidewalk. I understand, the difficulties of parents, having to be at work and then also get your kids to school at the same time. To me, this is a nice improvement for the families of our community. So parents know, hey, there's going to be a safer way for my kid to get to school. They're not walking on a shoulder along that road. And then Rossman Park neighborhood, the south side, we'll be replacing all water, sewer, roads, some drainage improvements in this area is going to occur starting this fall. And then moving into next spring, Rossman Park neighborhood on the north side, all new water, sewer, roads, and where warranted, sidewalks will be installed. We are going to hopefully have money set aside from that project to mill and fill or resurface Babylon Road Hill. So going up from Division down the gully and up the hill, that road. Hooker. Thank you. I'm jumping big time. So as part of that project, we're hoping to do a Hooker Road in that area there. Next year, we're going to be doing Babylon, which is on the north side of this city, that connects to River Street to the city limits. That is a partnership between the city and Allegan County. Allegan County is going to be doing Babylon from M40 to the city limits. And as we discussed with City Council, because you've reviewed these projects already, it just didn't make sense to stop that project right at the city limits, but we should continue it so we have a smooth road coming all the way into the town from the north side. Grand Street will be a new water main that's going to be installed along Grand Street, otherwise known as 222. In a year or two, MDOT will be resurfacing the extent of M222 from the river to Grand Ravine Drive. And so we felt the need to get in early and replace that water main that we knew we had to replace before they do their project. Because the last thing we ever really want to do is have a road resurfaced and then a year later go in and rip up that road for a pipe issue in the ground. And then the wastewater recovery facility improvements, we'll be installing a sludge thickener project there, which will help reduce our hauling costs for our biosolids. Any questions from council on the past year projects we've done? All right, to do that work, we secured $8.9 million in grants, and we have bonded $19 million to see that work get accomplished. Property taxes. I want to spend a few seconds with council and just go.
Make that clear, that's the past projects, all the projects that you were talking about, not fiscal
Correct.
year 2027, we're not bonding
Correct.
8.9 million this year, and we're not doing 19 million, so. just
Correct.
making
Past
it clear.
projects.
Past projects.
Yep, what you see there is where we're at. So, property taxes for a second here. I just want to walk through with council how property taxes are, calculated. So you take the taxable value, which is on your tax statement that you get, or you can log on to the city's website or the county and see this information for your property. You divide that by 1,000, and you times that by the millage rate. So if you have a $100,000 taxable value, you did divide that by 1,000, you get 100. Then you take that 100 and you times that by the city's millage rate. The city's millage rate is 16.1306. So that comes out to an annual tax bill to the city of Allegan for $1,613.06. This is a property tax that the city of Allegan receives for us to provide city services. This does not include the taxes that the city has to collect for other government agencies. And then, just to remind council, there are two things that kind of control our millage rates. And the first thing is Proposal A, that controls our taxable value, where it limits property taxes growth each year to 5% or inflation, whichever is less. So that is established by the Equalization Department on what that tax growth is going to happen. And the Equalization Department is a county department. However, and this is something that really bites people, unfortunately, when you buy a home, the tax value is reset to the new state equalized value. Have an employee here. The son bought a fixer-upper on an inland lake. The family he bought it from was a retired couple that lived there for the past 40 years. Waterfront property, even if it's an inland lake, even if it's a fixer-upper, is a little more expensive. He was shocked his tax bill went up 3 times what the previous property owner was paying.
And Joel, the last time the millage rate increased was, what, 20?
Yeah, we're going to get to that in a
Oh,
second.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll cover that. The way the property tax is divided in the city of Allegan, the total millage rate for all owner-occupied homes. So the city's is 16.1306. However, when you add Allegan Public Schools, Allegan County, the state education tax, the Allegan Area Education Service Agency, and the Allegan District Library, the total millage rate for property taxes in the city of Allegan for owner-occupied homes is 44.0789 across the board. So whether you live on Cutler Street, you live on James Street, you live on Cora, you live on Ida, you live on Kalamazoo, Herkimer, Russell, Lake, you own a property on Locust in the downtown, you're all paying that same base. If it is a owner-occupied home and you have it classified as a PRE, a principal residential exemption, If it is a second home or a business property, you are paying an additional 18 mils, the school operating tax. So you're paying an additional 18 mils. That gets your total millage up to 62.0136. So to answer your question, Councilmember Hooker, where are we with this? Your city charter sets the maximum that you can charge for a millage rate. Your city charter is set at 17 mils. Going back to fiscal year 17, it was 16.4884. It's down to 16.1306. When I mentioned earlier that there's two things that kind of control that millage rate or what you pay in taxes. The one is, Prop A, where we can't just arbitrarily jump your taxable value up. Even though house values might have gone up, we can't take them to match what house values are. The other thing is the Headley Amendment, which is in the state of Michigan Constitution, that more or less says, and I'm going to butcher this, so I apologize a little bit here, but if the taxable value, if inflation goes higher than the taxable value, that percentage you have to reduce what your total millage rate capability is right now. So even though our charter says we could go up to 17, we can only do 16.1306 unless the voters vote during a regular election for a voter-approved millage increase for like a special project. So you'll hear like some communities have a public safety millage where they choose to go and the voters say, hey, we want to pay more taxes for public safety, or a roads millage. You've heard that in other communities as well. So our proposed millage rate, again, is 16.1306, the same as it was last year, less than it was 2 years ago, less than it was since 2017.
Have we ever even had a city millage? Or when's the last time we even had a city millage? I know there's the schools and all those, but I don't remember any city millages ever that we've ever proposed.
Yeah, to my knowledge, I have not been part of discussion, and on my basic research here at City Hall, it's never come up. I know last year there were some conversations about should we go to the public for a voter-approved millage. We've done a little bit of legwork for council on what that impact would be. If it's 3 mils, is that going to generate, 400,000? And these are hypothetical numbers. Do not take them to the bank, please. But it's easy for us to establish that because we know what the taxable value is. We know what the formula is. You know what the formula is now if you didn't know it before. So you can figure that out by looking at our budget, what an additional voter-approved millage would be.
I'm just saying, in general, we haven't, as a city, put out for city millages. The schools have,
Yeah.
the ESA has, the
I
county
don't believe the
has.
city has.
We haven't ever,
Yeah.
that I can remember.
Yep. Yep. And then comparison with other communities where we fall, again, every community is different. I want to point that out. But when you look at the cities within the Allegan County, Douglas is as low as 13.0818. Wayland is high as 16.3607. We are in the higher part with Otsego and Wayland. South Haven and Finnville and Plainville are in the 15s. Holland's at 14. Saugatuck and Douglas is less. Water sewer rates. The water and sewer rates, they can be found in the budget in the Appendix A. So that is on our website. That is also in council's packet as part of transparency. All council, not just the agendas, but the entire packets for your regular meetings are online. So they are accessible. It's also on our website. Finance Department has them under their budget reports. For a typical residential property, the ready to serve for water is $21.38 per month. The commodity charge is $6.19 per 1,000 gallons. For a sewer, for a typical residential property, the ready to serve is $21.07 per month. The commodity charge is $7.63 per 1,000 gallons. When we run the numbers, we are estimating the average resident will see an estimated utility increase of $6.24 per month, or 20 cents per day, 21 cents per day if you want to round up. So from a high level, our total revenue is 29.7 million. Our sources of revenue, 12 million is coming from primarily bonding that we're doing for these upcoming projects. Utility rates are at 7 million. State revenue sharing is at 1.3. Charging for services is at 2.35. You can see down there, property taxes is roughly 3 million. Expenses is 32.4 million. That's divvied up. 2.32 goes to our public safety. 2.34 goes to legislative, which is primarily city hall duties, finance department, et cetera. Sanitary sewer, we're going to be spending about 12.57 million. Drinking water will be 6.72 million. Public works at 7.84, and then parks, which includes all of our parks, as well as events, as well as the Regent Theater and the Griswold, is at roughly 600,000. The expenditures by use for fiscal year 27, over half of our revenue is going to capital. We have some big projects planned for this upcoming year, some wonderful improvements that we're doing for our residents in the community. 31%, so just under a third, goes into operating costs to keep the lights on at our various buildings, to keep our vehicles moving, to keep the plants up and running, and then 16% is spent on personnel costs. When you look at just the general fund, and that is what our property taxes primarily go to, public works gets about 38% of that general fund, public safety gets about 29%, legislative and general services gets 25%, and then parks and recreation gets 7.1%. These are the significant projects that we got going on for fiscal 27. Some of them have started in 26. A lot of our projects are multi-year projects. Rossman Neighborhood Reconstruction Projects totaling at 7.245 million. Downtown Allegan Improvement Project is at 2.975 million. The Water Resource Recovery Facility Sludge Thickening Project is 2.615 million. We are doing sewer lining along Grand, Marshall, and Water for 728,000. The water main replacement on Grand Street is 420,000. And the Safe Streets for All plan that's evaluating all the intersections is 300,000. Please note, we received a $240,000 Federal Highway Administration Act grant for this. So the supermajority of this is being covered by a federal grant for that part. As I mentioned earlier, Council, you are members of the community. You all have your different history here on when you moved to this community, when your family moved to this community, where you recreate, where you dine, where you shop, you know, where you hang out. You hear from the public probably equally as I hear from the public on why can't we do X. Here are the projects we aren't able to afford. So Trestle Trail Bridge removal and replacement, 1.2 million. All the utilities, water and sewer and streets in the following areas: Lake and Arnold, Davis, North, Owlet, Brookside, Cora, Jenny, Knapp, Academy, Padgham, Eastern. Sports complex improvements. We did set aside $12,500 to do some field improvements. It needs more than $12,500 out there. And we've been asked multiple times now for consecutive years to resurface the walking trail around the sports complex, and that's about a $120,000 project. There is a water main, sewer main, sorry. There's a sewer main along Water Street that, if in the perfect world, you would abandon it. Instead, we just let it sit there. That's a $750,000 project. We are lining the sewer main that's near it. That's why we're able to just kind of let this one hang out there. Cook Street drain. So to remind council where the Cook Street drain is. So coming in down from the industrial park area, behind Main Street, so to the east of Main Street, there is a drain that shoots under Main Street. We have a gigantic culvert out there where if you walk through that neighborhood, you will see a sign that says city personnel only or something along that, like along those lines with a chain across it. That drain then goes underneath 837 Main Street through a vacant lot that the city owns, underneath the parking lot for Rectify Church. Thank you, Parker. I was about to call it the river. It hasn't been the river in a couple of years. Rectify Church, underneath Race Street. And then it becomes an open drain there, then underneath River, then an open drain again. Every year to 2 years, we're having sinkholes in that church parking lot because that drain is collapsing. It's not a huge issue, but eventually it's something we're gonna have to deal with. It's a drain we are responsible for. It is, go back to the definition of a budget, it's an obligation that we have to figure out. And then Second Street Bridge painting. So we have the historic Second Street Bridge. A few years back, we were able to replace the deck as well as replace some, I call them girdles, struts, supports, and do some underneath coating, some painting. We need to do the same thing to the top part of that bridge. That would require us to remove the lights, do the maintenance, and then restore the lights or replace the lights. We applied for a local bridge grant through the state last year. More or less, we were told our bridge would never qualify for that grant because there is not enough traffic on that bridge. That local bridge program really is for bridges that receive a lot of vehicle use. So, and each year, this, as with everything in life, each year projects just get more and more expensive.
Oh, you forgot the Water Street parking, or the Water Street Boardwalk, and that's like 1.5 million.
You're correct, Mayor Pro Tem.
Probably increased about 2 now.
Yep, and if we stay here for another hour, we could probably go through all the other deficiencies. There's quite a few. With that said, we still are ending fiscal year '27 on good footing. We aren't breaking the piggy bank to pay for everything. Our general fund balance is $2.899 million. Our streets fund balance is $635,000. The DDA and Positively Allegan is going to have a fund balance of $146,000. Sewer's just north of $2 million. Water's just under $1 million, and our motor vehicle pool is just north of $500,000. You need to keep fund balances. I understand this council understands that. We talk about it often during our meetings. You need these, some people call them rainy day funds. I call them just buffers because you don't know what is going to break tomorrow. So this is a very strong position for the city of this size to stay with our fund balances. So for council, my closing comments for you is, at the end of the day, this budget does the best it can to be financially responsible. We aren't draining all of our fund balances down. At the same time, we are making sure that the city continues to invest so it can provide the best, safest, most reliable service for its residents and businesses. It is a balanced budget. It invests in decrepit and failing infrastructure. At the same time, we're introducing technologies to be more efficient and save costs. The tax rate is staying the same as in years past. The water and sewer rate will increase. The average cost for the cost for the average resident is going to be approximately 20 cents a day more than last fiscal year. Any questions for staff on our presentation? All right. Mayor Perigo, tonight is a public hearing. Again, as I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, any comments received, staff will take notes of it. Our meetings are recorded. We keep our meetings on YouTube. They live there, so people can go back there and rewatch them if they want. One of our staff members that has a job title that's too long to pronounce, one of the things he does is he timestamps this, so you can go and just click to the exact agenda item you want to watch and listen to. So with that,
All right.
meeting's
Thank
yours.
you. All right, I will open the public hearing at 7:25. If you have a comment to this agenda item, which is the budget, please state your name and address.
My name's Brandon Sparks. I live at 3 Week Street. I heard you guys talking about parks, and it's one of the things I talked to Joel about and why I'm so concerned. One of the conversations I had with Joel was, hey, why aren't we doing more for our parks? And he told me that it was too expensive. You know why it's too expensive? Because you don't plan right. And it's very obvious from the get-go. You guys are giving away 1.1 million in tax incentives to guys on your board or previous members of the council. You got a $500,000 grant going to the man sitting right there, and you shouldn't even be on the city council, honestly.
Point of
You
order,
should-
Mayor.
You should be on the DDA,
Point of order.
and you should recuse yourself and actually get out of here, because that budget reflects
I have
highly
called
on this
point
place.
of
And you are
I have called point of order.
You are completely false. Fake news.
Just wait. Let's support.
Okay. And the other part of the budget is the previous member, and I'm not gonna mention his name, but he got 600,000, and then he quit the board. All right, so, you guys, this is not fake. This is obviously, you guys can search it right now, go in there.
You don't understand.
And I know how business works. I know what
Okay,
I'm doing.
point of order.
Okay, so here we go. What I'm trying to say is this. You are telling the public that you don't have money to pay for $50,000 in some upgrades that the kids need. The kids need. Alcoholics don't need this money. Kids need this money. And you're saying to me, this is too much? 25,000, 100,000? You got $3.1 million or what, $2.9 million in your slush fund? You guys don't know how to manage. You guys shouldn't even be up here. You guys get elected because you're popular, not because you know what you're doing. I know what I'm doing. I am running for city council. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get elected, and then I'm going to help you guys run this better, because you guys obviously are a good old boy club. And a substandard lot? You're saying you need money, $20,000? You're selling a substandard lot that doesn't even have easement rights. You got two variants, the VBA. You need substandard lot because it's 700 square feet short of a standard lot, and you need a variance, 451 feet of frontage. You guys have two major variances you need to get passed by the VBA. You guys don't even have that done first. This shouldn't even made it this far. You guys don't know what you're doing. And it's apparent with you. You don't even know how to set a schedule. from
Mr.
RS
Sparks,
meetings.
this is about the budget and
Construction,
you
okay,
have.
construction, fine, that's my expertise. You guys are taking quotes, don't understand how the construction works, and you're getting ripped off too. 750,000 for a main repair, I wanna see the math. What was that, $100 and some thousand for AstroTurf for your park? I wanna see the math. It's not that big, it's a mile. I built sidewalks, I've built parking lots.
All
I know
right.
what it takes.
Your
So just
3
so you know,
minutes is
you
up.
guys are not doing it right. And you should recuse yourself. Thank you.
All right, is there any other public comments?
Since we're being called out in public, I feel the need to defend the very inaccurate statement that we were given $500,000 in some sort of. You did, you just said it. That is the total amount of investment that we made in the two properties that we bought. The actual tax abatement over 12 years, which is a statewide, very normal thing to happen for businesses trying to develop in especially dilapidated buildings like what we bought, We did nothing inappropriate. This was 5 years ago, before Patrick was anything to do with the council. He's done nothing inappropriate. He's done nothing but want to be a good voice for Allegan and to help other people do what we've been able to do in Allegan, which is create a business and jobs and a good space for people to come together and be comfortable. And to be called out like we're doing something inappropriate is very offensive, not just in this room, but all over social media. And it's ridiculous. We didn't get $500,000 in any kind of credit. We don't even owe that much in taxes over 12 years. That's stupid. Our tax abatement is based on the amount of money that we put into our buildings, that we improved. Our money that we decided to invest in Allegan, we get a little bit of a deferment on paying taxes for that. It has nowhere near $500,000. The city is certainly not making or losing $500,000 off us buying this property or not buying this property. If we hadn't bought it, it would have just sit there and been what it was, and there wouldn't have been an increase in taxes anyways. So the misunderstanding of the way that the tax abatements work for both us and what Shaendorf did is really a lot of misinformation. And I'm sorry if I'm being a little passionate about it, but it's very false. It's inaccurate. The amount of money that he's stating that could have been saved somehow and then applied to other things never existed, and that's completely inaccurate. So I wanted that on the record. Tantric didn't do anything inappropriate by applying for the Oprah or the PA 198. We pay taxes on several commercial properties, as well as our home. I want to point out, too, we're not just business owners in Allegan. We live here. We bought a house. We've been here for 8 years. We're not going anywhere. Patrick is a member of the council. I've been involved in many things in the city. We contribute to the city. We sponsor events. And this has all just been very frustrating to have to come up here and defend myself. I think you're all doing an amazing job, so thank you.
Can I, for public record, can I just have you state your name? Sorry.
Tanya Westover, 210 Bridge Road.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I also wanted to say the Allegan Beer Fest is coming up this weekend. Hope to see you all there.
Is there any other public comment in regards to the City of Allegan budget?
Good afternoon. My name is Josh Reed, Allegan resident, 250 Sherman Street. Been here my whole life, all 48, almost 49 years. Wow, it's a minute. First and foremost, I'd like to say that I don't dislike things you're doing. I think some of the things you're doing are very cool. Like the facelift of the town is very nice. I do appreciate that. I can see where a lot of people are coming from with the feeling of some things are being paid attention to for some people, but other people are feeling like they're being left in hindsight. I'm one of them. I bought my house after a long struggle, which, by the way, I would also like to thank, everybody that has ever helped me, through my family struggles and whatever. But we bought it about 7 years ago, and taxes and so forth have went up 2/3 since I bought it. I'm not opposed to bleeding for my community. I think everybody that knows me knows that. I sit on like 3 different boards for charitable organizations. I'm a service manager where I work. I'm also the entomologist where I work. I just want to make sure that when we're spending money, that it's warranted, especially when you're asking me to pay more, when I've been paying more, and I think a lot of residents been paying more. I don't know how much more I can bleed, to be quite honest. And I think there's a lot of people that hold that same feeling that I'm having. I get around and I talk to people too, so many. But like I said, I'm not opposed to what you're doing, but maybe taking a deeper look into ways that we can trim the fat. And I know there's fat to be trimmed. There's always fat to be trimmed. So maybe taking a little long, harder look. I'm not gonna beat this into submission or whatever that everybody thought I was gonna do when I got here. But I just want you guys to take a long, serious look at what we're doing, and if it's necessary to ask for more. Because some of us, we're really feeling it. That's really all I have for the moment, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other public comment on the subject of the city budget?
Good evening, Jason Watts, 516 Trowbridge. I've been a lifelong Allegan resident, or Allegan area resident, and city resident for over 26 years. I'd like to commend Joel and the council for a very thorough budget presentation. A comment has been made here that, this is a good old boy network. I remember plenty of councils past where you could make that charge. This council is far from that sort of system. I think what you demonstrated tonight has shown that, and I would like to commend you for that. Thank you.
Other public comment on the city budget?
Hi, my name's Stephanie Westbrook, and I'm at 221 Cutler. And I just wanted to say that I respectfully disagree with the notion that this is a balanced budget. Tonight, the council is considering continuing with one of the highest millage rates in the county. Our budget summary shows we are draining over $1 million from our total reserves to cover the deficit spending. My question is, does the city have a formal, written, and accessible 5-year financial stability plan? Before the residents are asked to absorb another tax increase, another bill, and watch our city's account disappear, we deserve to see a long-term roadmap that shows how you plan to return to a balanced budget. Does that plan include internal cost-saving measures like an administrative freeze on raises to show solidarity with the taxpayers, or a pause on non-essential aesthetic projects? I'd like to draw attention to the discretionary spending like holiday lighting and flower planting that over the last several years have stayed at almost $40,000. There are other things in the discretionary line item that you could bring up, but those are the ones that really stick out to me. Or is the plan to just keep dipping into our pockets and our reserves until they are empty and the state steps in? If this already exists, could you please direct me to where I can find it? Thank you so much for what you do.
Other comments on the city budget?
Valerie Emmons, I live on 419 4th Street. I just want to reiterate what Josh had said about taking into consideration the demographics that's in Allegan as far as raising the taxes and even the water bill. I mean, I'm a family of 2. My oldest daughter still lives with me. And my water bill, I just sit there and I shake my head every month I get it. And it's going to go up again. And I'm retired. I'm on a fixed income. And a lot of the members, a lot of the city residents I know are also on fixed incomes. So like Josh said, just take into consideration before you ask for more money from the residents of the city. Because like I said, $70 a month for 2 people. I don't have a dishwasher or any of that fancy stuff. So it's like, I just shake my head, when I get my bill and then when I see some of these proposals that's, on the budget right now, but just take into consideration the demographics of the city of Allegan and how many people are on fixed incomes. Thank you.
Other public comment on the city budget?
Alex Wilkening, 211 Locust. I feel like I'm the most confused person on the planet. This is not a tax increase, correct? Can someone answer? It's the same that it's been, and it's actually less than it was 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, or 7 years ago?
Correct.
Okay. I'm just trying to confirm because I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. So thank you for all you do, and I would like everybody who lives in Allegan to consider the fact that we have some of the cleanest drinking water in the state, probably in the country would be my guess. And we also have a downtown that's by no one's fault here, probably twice as big as it should be. And so we're trying to maintain extra stuff for a population size that's egregiously small for this large of a downtown district. So thank you for all you do. I appreciate it.
Other public comment regarding the city budget? I am seeing none, so I will go ahead and close the public comment at 7:40. Any additional remarks on this
Nope.
that you have? All right.
You're good.
Right, I will move down to agenda item 9C, which is a public hearing and adoption of resolution 26.16 regarding an amended Michigan State Housing Development Authority Community Development Block Grant to create 8 new apartments in downtown Allegan.
Thank you, Mayor. Last year, City Council, you adopted a resolution directing city staff to submit an application to MSHDA, which is the Michigan State Housing Development Authority, for a community development block grant to create new housing in downtown Allegan. At that time, we had 4 properties that were interested in moving forward with the city, and they were going to establish 10 new apartments. Just so we are clear for council and those in the room, this is state funding. There is no city funding as part of this except for staff time and energy. Since that time, one of the parcels has dropped from the program for personal reasons, and we are left with 3 properties moving forward. 116 Locust Street is going to have 4 new apartments. 3 of those will be for low to moderate income people. 115 Locust Street will have 2 new apartments. 1 would be reserved for low to moderate income people, and 138 Hubbard Street will have 2 new apartments, and 1 will be for low to moderate income people. As part of the rules and regulations for the state program, at least 51% of the apartments must be available for low to moderate income people. If there's going to be 2 apartments, they say it can be 50, 1 of them can be. So the total project budget is $1,704,164. The MSHDA funding is coming in at $944,000, and the private funding, this is the amount that the developers or the property owners are putting forth, is $760,164. This will be the city's 3rd go-around with this program since I've been here as city manager. We've been very successful with securing state development grants, and it's nice to see the second floors of these buildings get reused this way. The state is requesting that you hold another public hearing since the amounts are reduced, and I agreed that we would hold a public hearing.
All right, at 7:43, I will open the public hearing in regards to adoption of Resolution 26.16. If you have a public comment on this agenda item, please approach the podium, state your name and address. I see no one jumping up. So I'm going to assume there is no public comment on this agenda item. So I will go ahead and close the public hearing. All right, council, can I get a motion to adopt resolution 26.16?
Make a motion to adopt resolution 26.16.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any further comment from council on this? We've seen it before, it's just, all right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. All right, agenda item number 10 is our first public comment section of the evening. This is for public comments that are not on the agenda or anything you have a public comment on. It is open for that. Please approach the podium and state your name and address, please.
Sorry, get a little crick waiting for so long. No, I'm kidding. My name is Stacy Todd. I'm at 219.5 Hubbard Street. I actually would like to approach the council on behalf of a well-known person and family here in Allegan, specifically the city. On behalf of the family of Robert Galloway, Bob Galloway, the guy that rides around and checks on everything on his little golf cart. Met his, well, quote unquote, met his maker. He actually unfortunately passed away just this last week. And the family would love to have a celebration of life at the Griswold. So the appeal this evening is for a reduced fee or give back to this family for all that they've done for the city by waiving any fee for this celebration of life for his wife, Teresa Galloway, who's former mayor, continues to serve the city on the, not the DDA, but the
Planning Commission.
Planning Commission. I'm sorry, I always get
That's
that
all right.
confused.
There's a lot of them.
But she's served the council for a long, long time. The family is well-known in the area and would love to have this opportunity to open the Griswold for those family and friends throughout the county and specifically in the city to be able to wish the family well and say their goodbyes to Bob. So, thank you.
Any other public comment tonight? We do have a second one, so if you don't get it all out on this one, there's a second
That's
public
all right.
comment coming up.
I figure if I split it up, I'll get everything I want to say in.
All right.
Thank you again. Josh Reed, 250 Sherman Street. And I just want to reiterate that I'm not like up in arms. I just want to, if I'm not mistaken, there is going to be cost increase because there's a deficit, right?
There is no deficit.
There's no, then, I was just going from.
The cost increase is with, I don't know, you can't pull this thing up, with our water
water,
and
right,
sewer,
right.
which I'm
Is-
just like, it's, the average would be $6, what did I read? $6?
Yeah,
and
it seems,
36 cents a
it
month.
seems like not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But that too has increased exponentially since I've lived there. Not saying it's not, none of this is warranted. I'm still doing research. You know what I mean? I'm just kind of, I've been away from this, trying to gain experience through other boards so I can, better help my community, which is what I'm doing now. I can't pretend to know everything unless I research it, and I will never know everything because there's always things to research. So that's all I'm doing here today. So the more questions I have, the better I understand. If there's no increase to anything, and we're doing everything on what we're supposed to be doing, and there's no real increase to the taxpayer, then we're good, right? Okay, thank you again for your time.
Other public comment?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of criticism for decisions we've made. in
Can I
recent
have
years.
you say your name
Dale
and
Olmsted,
address?
340 Kalamazoo Street, I'm sorry. Guys, we've lived here 27 years. And for the first 17 of that is in constant decline. And so businesses like the Westovers and several others that have come to town and created traffic have breathed new blood into this community. However you want to look at those businesses, whether they're bars and whether they're restaurants, whether they're craft shops, whatever it is, right? There is no sustainable downtown without traffic. Allegan's a difficult place to get traffic, right? Small community, so you're only gonna get so much from the local people, so much traffic from people coming out during the weekends or during the evenings. We're 15, 20 minutes off either expressway, right? It's not a destination, okay? So I'd like the residents to consider what it takes to keep this downtown viable. Getting people out for Christmas because there's an organized Christmas celebration. The pedestrian spaces we're looking at out here that make it appealing to come and hang out with your family. The businesses that you just want to walk by and check out, whether it's a candy shop, an antique shop, Tantric Brewing, Schaendorf, lots of great businesses. And I have never seen in my time here a more diverse downtown business setting than what we have today. You either want it or you don't, folks. And you don't have to agree with everything that's here. You don't have to frequent every business that's downtown. But without mass appeal, in a community like this, with our location, our demographic, and our population, you can see how tough it was. We all lived it for several years, right? So I appreciate what the council is doing and what Manager Dye is trying to bring to this community, and all the business owners that came and invested in this community. As Tanya said, they're not natives, they're not residents, right? They chose Allegan to grow their business. And we're fortunate to have several folks like that to see this as an opportunity. I hope we don't kill that. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Getting tired, it's a long walk up here. Alice Wilking, 211 Locust. As the executive director of the Allegan County Food Pantry, I would just like to say that our annual golf outing is coming up on June 6th, and we are still looking for whole sponsors and teams to play, so feel free to email me at executive director, or director, sorry, not executive, director at AlleganCountyFoodPantry.com. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
My name is Cora Sweet. I live at 242 Cutler. And I actually wanted to mention today a concern that I have about overcrowding on the riverfront. So we are wanting to host all of these events down there. We've really built our community around this riverfront. But I feel that in placing some of these items down there that have come recently, we've actually reduced the ability to use the area. So this is coming from both an attendant and a vendor that goes down there and vends. We've lost space with that swing, and it's just the swing that's popping to mind. I love the splash pad, I love all the things we've done down there. But we've lost space with the swing for 2 to 3 vendors. And that is for smaller events that are happening on the riverfront that don't necessarily utilize the street above, and may be complicated to use the street above. And so I'm just, I guess, curious about how those decisions got made, who makes them, and how something like that could be moved to allow us to retake back that vendor space and allow more vendors and allow these events to continue to grow like we want them to do. By limiting the space, we really cannot continue to make these events larger. I say the swing just because it got put in between 2 spaces where I know that, sorry, I have anxiety. Where I know that multiple vendors were previously placed. The swing takes up 2 of those spots. Where there is a beautiful grassy area right over by our memorial downtown. Same area, if you're looking at the river, it's over here. And I just, yeah, that's just a concern of mine. As we try to make it look nicer, we're placing more and more and more. It's starting to feel like a bookshelf we can't put more books on. So I am concerned about that as we go forward and what we could maybe do to open that back up so that we can fit more vendors. Not necessarily get rid of stuff, just maybe move it. Thank you.
Any other public comment? I am seeing none, so I will move down to the next agenda item. Looks like that is 13E1, which is approval of accounts payable and payroll. Oh, sure. I have been asked if we could take a recess.
City-
short
The mayor, you
recess?
preside over the meetings, you can do as you please.
Well, you're like looking at me going, what?
I'll still look at you, I think it's weird to go for
So
it.
let's take a recess until 7:05, or 8:05. Thank you. All right, it is 8:05. We will resume the city council meeting for Monday, May 11th. And we are on agenda 13E.1, which is a request to approve accounts payable and payroll, and Mayor Pro Tem Hans.
It is requested that the city council approve accounts payable in the amount of $721,073.36 and payroll in the amount of $146,196.94 for a total disbursement of $868,270.30. Motion to approve?
Support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported. Is there any other questions, comments from council?
Joel, the municipal advisory services, is that related, it says the water supply system, is that related to the
Yeah,
filter?
that was part of the bonding that we approved. So you'll see those over probably the next two iterations of payments that come through.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right, so we have a motion on the table that has been supported. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion passes. 13E2 is a review of the March 2026 revenue and expenditure report.
Just a quick report for council. This is a regular report that you see every few months, keeping council up to date on where we stand with our budget. So if you go back to that cycle about evaluation, this is part of council's role of evaluating things. And as we say every time we show this, Finance Director Tracy Stahl is more than willing to sit down with anybody, including members of the public, to go over any expenditures that you have questions about. She is actually at a conference right now for treasurers, so that's why she's not with us this evening.
All right, did anyone from council have any questions? No? All right, 13E3 is a request for approval of a lot split for parcel 51-250-007-00, also known as 755 Grand Street.
Thank you, Mayor. As the city council's many responsibilities, one is to approve lot splits in the city of Allegan. Allegan Credit Union is looking to split off the northern part of their parcel into 3 residential lots that are identified as parcels B, C, and D. So we need city council to approve these splits, and then we can work with the credit union to sell those lots to a residential developer and build some homes out there.
All right, that's great. Can I get a motion to approve the lot split?
Motion to approve the lot split at 755 Grand Street.
Thank you.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any comments from council?
If they could take down the trees out there, we could reinstall the grass runway. I believe those are the parcel that has the trees in issue.
Correct. So, yeah, for those on the council that may not recall what Mayor Pro Tem Hans is referring to, Pageant Field used to have a north-south grass runway. As with all runways, we are required to have more or less what's called a bowl, a clear line for planes that are gliding in. The trees that were on these parcels penetrated into that clear fly zone area, and therefore we had to kind of put a hold on the grass runway. And then the Airport Advisory Board and City Council said, hey, why do we need a grass runway? And they have completely closed it. We have worked with the FAA to decommission the north-south grass runway. That's going to free up about 2 acres of city-owned land that doesn't have a government use anymore, and we will be putting that on the market in the near future once we get the final sign-off from the FAA that we can move forward with that.
Nice. Okay, we have a motion on the table. All those in favor of the lot split for 755 Grand Street, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 13E4 is a request to authorize the issuance of a contract to Kugelard Property Services LLC for the Griswold Improvement Project.
I'll go ahead and handle this one. This project should be familiar to you. We've been discussing improvements to the first floor lounge now. At your last meeting, or a couple meetings ago perhaps, the council directed staff to go out and request proposals for a design-build project for this area, as well as improvements to the area in the lobby, which includes installing a second restroom, making both of them ADA compliant, and kind of shrinking up the office that's there now to just function simply as a box office or ticket window. We held a pre-proposal meeting. The sign-in sheet was included in your packet. We had 5 different contractors attend that meeting, and we received just one proposal, and that was from Kugelard Properties. And that is the, project that we've brought forth for you tonight, so.
One thing I do want to point out for council's attention, it was in your report, the 4th paragraph down, as a design-build project, the scope, associated costs may be refined as the project progresses. Accordingly, the submitted proposal should be considered a working project estimate rather than a strict not-to-exceed amount. We're starting this as a base. Anything that goes above the cost that you see in there will be coming back to council for discussion. Concern that I have with the project, and it's a very minor concern. The decision makers back in the 20s did an amazing job designing and building that beautiful building. Not terracotta. What's the material on the?
Couldn't tell you, but it's not terracotta.
It is not terracotta. Terrazzo, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Hands. There are not many people in the Midwest, in the state of Michigan, in the Midwest, and the country that really work well with terrazzo. So we are going to, and that's, you see that in the hallway where we're cutting into the wall. That's something we're going to want to make sure is done right. So that was the one area where we had a little bit of concern, and as you recall, council, that wall, I think, is like an 8-inch thick concrete wall. So to get a second restroom that's ADA compliant on that first floor, which is necessary for the, attendees to events there, it's going to take a little bit of work. So that was identified in the estimate that was submitted, and then we identified it in the report, and I just want to make sure that you hear tonight during our presentation. This packet was 385 pages long.
When will we know about what's left over from the tuck pointing project?
Wait, what's there?
Yeah, so as we mentioned, before we went out to bed, so this was a couple of meetings ago, we have some money left over from the tuck pointing that we are going to utilize. We have, we received a gift from the Robert Faskey Trust. Mr. Faskey was a gentleman that grew up in Allegan, and upon his passing left the city of Allegan roughly $250,000. $111,000 to be used towards the Griswold, and $111,000 to be used towards the flowers and bushes and trees throughout the city. We have succeeded in securing a grant from the Community Foundation for this project. That's about $20,900. It was $8,000 from the foundation, and then we got a Michigan Arts and Cultural grant from the state for $20,900. So we have a lot of resources or revenue streams coming in. At your upcoming meeting, we plan on giving a full budget breakdown on how we're going to move forward with this. Councilmember Westover reached out to staff inquiring about the ADA ramp that was originally discussed and the sign that was originally discussed, and wanted to know why we didn't include that as part of this project. And I just mentioned at the previous meeting, council zeroed in on this improvement first, and then let's talk about the bigger ones at a later date. And we hope to do that at your next meeting.
I'm not seeing any other questions. Do you have a question?
No.
Okay.
If you're looking for people to do terrazzo, then you probably should check with the airport. They got tons of it. And they're always doing more projects. They're always under construction up there at the Gerald Ford.
Oh, okay. When you said airport, I thought you meant Pageant Field. I was like, no, we do that.
The Gerald
for a
Ford.
loop.
The Ford
Yeah.
Airport's always under construction, and that's all that's throughout that airport is
Okay.
terrazzo.
Excellent, then we can do that.
See who they use as
Yeah.
a contractor.
Through this whole project, it's gonna be exciting. I wanna make sure we still honor that hallway and that original design, because that is something special that you don't see in a lot of buildings nowadays.
All right, can I get a motion to authorize the issuance of a contract to Kugelard Property Services?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Any other comments or questions from council before we vote? No? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. 13E5 is a review and discussion regarding amending the current payment in lieu of taxes, known as pilot, for Bridgeport Apartments.
Thank you, Mayor. I will handle this report. You are not being asked to approve anything this evening. This is more or less a pre-report, an update to just make you aware that at your next meeting, you will have a request from the owner of Bridgeport Apartments to amend their pilot ordinance/resolution to change the language so that the pilot is coterminous with the HUD loan that they have to receive. Currently, their pilot rate for this development is a 6% pilot, and just to remind council, a pilot is a payment in lieu of taxes. So instead of paying the tax rate, which we discussed earlier this evening, we negotiate and agree to a 6% as long as they are providing affordable housing in the city of Allegan. This is a 100% project-based Section 8 housing, meaning anyone that lives there only pays 30% of their household income. So if their household income is $1,000 a month, they pay 30% of that in rent. They don't have like a set, this is what a one-bedroom costs. I reached out to our police chief just to inquire about activity at this complex. It's one of our shining stars, he said. He goes, seldom are we over there. And if we are, it's, taken care of very quickly. So we have no concerns about, our work that happens over there. I worked with the city attorney to come up with a resolution language, which is in your packet as an example. That has been shared with the owner of Bridgeport. They have accepted this language, so we're ready to present it at your next meeting. Any questions for staff or anything you would like us to look into between now and your next meeting?
This one's based on 30% of the tenant's income. The new project on Low Street is 70, what's
So
the percentage?
the other one on Low Street, I believe, is utilizing low-income housing tax credits, and that is going to be affordable to people making 30 to 60% of AMI, I believe.
And they're asking for it to stay at 6%, just extend the time.
They're
period,
asking
right?
it to stay at 6%. You should be able to go back to your old packets as we looked at the different pilots the city has. No pilot is the same. If you recall in that table I shared with you, you have some pilots where they just froze their taxes. So what they paid in 2007 is what they're paying as long as they have a HUD financed loan associated with their project. Once they are no longer being HUD financed, you cannot have a pilot anymore. So it's not a forever thing. But as anybody I shouldn't say it that way, but the way things work in the world is if you own a business, if you own an asset, you're constantly investing in it. You're constantly refinancing what you have there. So it's not atypical for people to for apartment complex owners to constantly refinance their, project to make investments. It's like getting a home equity loan for your personal house because you need to put a new roof on, or you need to put in a new driveway, et cetera.
I had a couple questions. When does it currently expire? I was trying to figure that out. And then, these are things probably for if you need to research and bring them back before the pilot or send them have they sent in their audited finances, including their rent?
Yeah.
And then the third would be, I would want to look at, from our standpoint of if they didn't have a pilot, what would the taxes be to the city compared to what we're getting in payment in lieu of taxes? So if we're going to extend it by the amount of time, what's that difference?
So I can answer some of those for you right now.
Yep.
The first one, when does it expire? The current term is a period of 35 years. You can see that in paragraph 3 under Resolution 1301, I believe.
2048?
2048, if your math is correct, and I believe it is. Second question, I already forgot what it was. I apologize.
Have they sent in their audited
Yeah,
finances?
so every year, all the pilots have to submit their work to our assessor. It actually goes through the state of Michigan first to look at everything, and they determine what the cut or what the payment's going to be that way, because it's less utilities. So we can pull those reports for council for all of them down the road.
I'm not too concerned, I'm just making sure that
Yep.
they are sending their, and that they've been being checked.
Yes, and then the third one, that's going to be a little more difficult. We can give you a general estimation on this building. Just a reminder for council, your property taxes are established by an assessment. Assessment looks at land value, then it looks at square footage of the building, but then it rates your building, what kind of quality your building is, little inside knowledge that I learned when my previous town. If you want to lower your tax rate, you go prove that they have your building rated higher than what it really should be. A coworker of mine did that, and a fellow city planner did that, to get his brought down from a C to a C minus, which I thought was weird, but he didn't want to pay more in taxes. So this is a high-quality structure, so I can run you some quick estimates with our assessor, Lindsay
That's what I'm looking
Schembecker.
for, is if we would talk with the assessor, kind of come back.
Yeah.
when we are looking to approve this, or before that, if you can
Yep.
mail them on to council to get an idea where the difference is, so we get a good understanding what we're losing in taxable value, but in reality, it's a project for low-income housing. That's how they're able to finance this long-term, and I understand all that as well.
Yeah.
But we got to look at everything in it.
Yep, and I appreciate you brought it up, and you said you understand it. When we're talking about low-income housing, they could make this project financially, feasible if they raise rents. But since they're kind of hand-tied because they're addressing a segment of the population that can't afford, $1,600 or $1,400 or $1,100 apartment rents, it's a little different.
I was kind of going to ask that, so the pilot, do they pay on the rents paid, or, yeah, right?
Yeah.
And then, do you know how many units? Because like, if they don't get this pilot, then they are not going to get the funding to do the 30%
Correct.
rent, right? So then it would go to whatever market for that building is. So we would lose how many subsidized houses?
I can find that out. I don't know how many units are here.
Okay, thank you.
Currently, they have a pilot going through 2048, so that'll still be in
Right.
place. It's just whether we want to extend it.
Yeah, so what they're looking for is they're applying for the
New financing to.
Yeah, they're refinancing, and then it has to be coterminous. HUD's saying you have to, extend your pilot to match our thing, and we're hoping to go with the phrasing coterminous, so we don't have to keep coming back every time they refinance.
Is there any other questions? No? All right. Moving down to 13E6 is a request to receive an update on the Kalamazoo Riverbank Erosion and approve a hold harmless agreement between the City of Allegan and Rhoda Yutz-Ryan.
Thank you, Mayor. Also, there are a few people in the audience that have stuck around that may want to speak regarding this issue, so feel free to open the floor up after my quick presentation. As council is well aware, we've had two separate erosion issues happening along the Kalamazoo River in the general area of the Thomas Jackson neighborhood. One is more or less the length of the riverbank there, where the Kalamazoo River takes a sharp turn into our downtown. Makes for a beautiful setting, whether you're kayaking on the river or on top of the bluff looking to our downtown, but it also eats away at the shoreline, coupled with years of people removing some trees on that riverbank to improve the view. The Southwest Michigan Land Conservancy owns pretty much 90% of the shoreline there, or the riverbank, and they've requested that we take some steps to prevent people from cutting trees. Also, at the same time, honoring the neighborhood and the pedestrians that go for night walks out there and so forth. The other erosion thing is where the city staff, during our boil water advisory and low pressure incident a couple months ago, had to go exercise a couple hydrants. This was a hydrant that got exercised. In the process of exercising that hydrant and it being left on for several hours, it created what I'm going to call a site-specific erosion issue. And that's why I am recommending that we enter into an agreement with Rhoda, Yutz-Ryan, to have a hold harmless agreement. So the city can do the work we need to do where we caused the issue and protect the homeowner so they don't feel like they're being hung out on a limb, worried that the city might come back after them if something goes awry in that area. So really, that hold harmless agreement protects, the homeowner, from any kind of claims the city today or in the future may try to have against this property. As part of the improvements or work we like to do in there, we had a neighborhood meeting out there last Tuesday. We would like to, or 2 Tuesdays ago, we'd like to install a split rail fence where the yellow line is located on the screen. There's a handful of sections up there, as well as 2 signs that say no parking between signs. This is a request that one of the property owners walked up to me at the end of the meeting and said, I understand you're putting up a fence, but can you please put up no parking signs now so nobody just rolls up and starts parking, in the road next to the fence to look at the view. And I think that's a reasonable request, and if it doesn't work out, we can always remove signs. That's pretty, simple for us. So tonight, all you're getting from me is just an update on the work we're gonna do. The split rail fence is under $1,000. The Land Conservancy and the city's gonna split that 50-50. That's well within our purchasing limits as staff, but I do need you to make a motion and approve the hold harmless agreement.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the hold harmless agreement?
I'll make the motion.
Support.
Thank you. Is there any further questions or comments from council?
Probably change it from no parking to no parking or standing. So if people don't just sit in their car, because that's technically not parking, till they get out of their car, so.
I think you are correct.
So, just update the verbiage.
Thank you.
Any other comments? No. All right. We have a motion on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. And I'm sorry, I've lost my mind tonight. I didn't ask if those that are here on this agenda item had any comments. Come on.
All right, what a long day, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I have you state your name, Lisa?
I'm Lisa
Sorry.
Richlick. My husband, Craig Mellon, and I live at 159 Thomas. I'm also speaking on behalf of a few of my neighbors who couldn't be here tonight. We've had some questions and concerns regarding the communications we've gotten regarding the Kalamazoo Riverbank Erosion from city staff related to the Thomas Jackson Street area there. Multiple times we've heard and seen where the staff has monitored ongoing erosion along the Thomas Jackson Street Riverbank. We would be interested in seeing any records, notes, comments, and how long that process has been going on, so that we can see what's been happening. If there is actually, we didn't know anything about it until the site-specific erosion issue became, we became aware of that. City staff is again blaming the erosion on trees and vegetation being removed from the bank. We'd like to see supporting evidence of this, as no trees or vegetation have been removed, as far as we know, in the last 8 to 10 years. Some trimming of the tops of the sumac has taken place, but we'd like to see engineering or environmental assessments that support the staff's conclusions that it was caused by people removing trees. And the only way you can do that is to look at it, right? It's been reported that city employees are talking publicly about how neighborhood residents are all to blame for the erosion of the riverbank. We don't like it. So we would appreciate that stopping. At our neighborhood meeting, the representative from the Conservancy said he'd been aware of the trimming of the sumac, but he never intervened or advised anyone to stop. Obviously didn't think it was a big deal. Contrary to what staff has written, there was not a consensus as to the placement of the split rail fence. We all thought it was a good idea, but we were saddened when we saw where the fence was going to be. It leaves about 2 feet from the road. So we don't need the library. Somebody has taken that and put it on their own private property. Done deal. We're not allowed to mow the grass there. It already looks terrible, scaggly, nasty, and it's going to continue to look that way because we're not allowed to mow the grass there. So the bench and the stone is no longer relevant because you won't be able to see them in there. So don't worry about all those things in your design. Doesn't matter anymore. The city caused erosion has and continues to be downplayed, we believe. For many of us, this is a major concern. We are really questioning the integrity of the road at this point, as well as what we see as limited plans for proper bank stabilization and to stop future erosion in that area specifically. We wondered if the city had contacted the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy to assess both of these areas. If not, why? And a letter has been drafted by some of the residents of the neighborhood that they may send on our behalf about that erosion. Thanks for listening. Thank you for taking our concerns and for listening to our continued frustration. And I just want to mention too, yesterday, Mother's Day, we counted 12 cars of families driving by there. Some of them getting out with their little kiddos and looking out at the city of Allegan. That will no longer be possible because they can't trespass. They can't park their cars there. So I think we've lost a really nice, and the Conservancy doesn't seem to care what we've given up as a neighborhood to have their trails back there. So we feel a little bit disappointed by that. Thank you.
Did anybody else have any comments on this subject? Okay. All right. I will move down to agenda item number 15, which is the second public comments of this evening. Oh, sorry. Oh, forgot about our amendment. Sorry. Agenda item number 14, amendment. This is again why I hate amendments.
Noted. Okay, I'll take it from here, Mayor.
Yes, you have some things to talk about this board
Yeah.
amendment.
Currently, we have a vacancy on the Allegan Fire District Board. That is the joint fire district board between Allegan Township and the City of Allegan. The way that board is comprised, the city council appoints 2 members, the township appoints 2 members, and then those 4 members appoint 1. Currently, Councilmember Will Walker serves on that board as a city appointee. Recently, Rick Day, who was the other city appointee, has resigned from that board. We have noticed that vacancy for a little more than 2 weeks, trying to get a resident to volunteer or submit an application. No one has come forth. John Cook, who sits on that board as the 5th appointment from the board, has emailed us today requesting to be the city's representative for the next 6 years, because it's a 6-year appointment. And so he would step down as the board appointment and become the city appointment. It's very important that that board has some continuity of membership. And Mr. Cook, who has a long history on that board and has served the city well on that board as a at-large appointee, will do just fine, in staff's opinion, as a city appointee. I have heard from Mark Heather, who is the township appointee on that board, to let me know today that he is supportive of that move, and then they will figure out how to make it an at-large appointment amongst themselves. Any questions for staff?
I'd just like to reiterate the fact that I think it's a very good idea to have John stay on the board.
All right, can I get a motion to appoint John
Cook
Cook
as
as
the
the city appointment to the Fire District Board?
I will make that motion.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Now I'm going to go to public comment. This is the second public comment of the evening. I do want to say the crowd has dwindled, but you've noticed, if you haven't watched a city council meeting before or come to a city council meeting, we do not engage. There's a lot of questions that people ask. Those are noted, and like it's been mentioned previously, all of this is recorded, and staff does go back. We look at all of these questions that the residents bring forward, and we talk about them outside of meetings and what we can do to help with these questions that have come up. Also want to mention the city manager, Joel Dye. He will stay after any meeting and talk with you one-on-one to answer any of your questions that he's able tonight. Any of the council members are here as well after the meeting. So with that, I will open the second public comment of the evening. If you have a public comment, please approach the podium and state your name and address. What? Everybody's out of steam like I am. I'm fading. All right, I see no public comment, so I will move down to agenda item number 16, which is communications from the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I just want to say I appreciate the residents that came out this evening to speak. I appreciate the dialogue. Like the mayor said, I'm going to meet after meetings. I'm also available before work, during work, and after work. I'll sit down and have conversations with people. If you have questions on how things work, feel free to ask. That's the best way to learn, is to keep asking. Regarding water utility issues, not issues, but the water utility system in the city, all of our meters are connected to something called WaterScope. You can create your own username on WaterScope. It shows you information about your property. You even get alerted if there is a water leak at your property. So if it notices that you have a constant running toilet, it will just say, something's wrong, because water's constantly going through your system for the past 3 hours, and that's not right. So if you don't know how to set that up, feel free to reach out to City Hall between the hours of 8:30 and 4:30, and any of the staff at the front desk or in the back will be able to walk you through it. We have 3 openings on the Planning Commission still. Planning Commission meets the 3rd Monday of each month. If they have business to deal with, you have to be a city resident to be on the Planning Commission. Essentially, they set the vision for how the town should develop. They develop the zoning regulations, and they review development. That's really what the Planning Commission does. The next meeting for City Council is Tuesday, May 26th. So please don't forget that. Monday is Memorial Day. And then just for some clarification on what was shared in the public comment, the state requires us to use certain terminology in our budget documents. For DDA, any kind of work we are doing that deals with landscaping or summer work has to be identified as flowers. The city is not spending $17,500 on flowers every single year in our DDA. We're taking $17,500 of DDA taxes and transferring it to our DPW to help cover the cost of what used to be Lori Courtney, but now is Corey Belden, who you will see working all summer long in our downtown. Holiday lighting, that's winter maintenance in our DDA. So it's identified as holiday lighting. I fully understand how confusing and asinine that phrase is, but that is taking $17,500 of money from DDA taxes and transferring that to our DPW wages to cover Corey Belden and all the work they're doing downtown during the winter months. So, as the mayor mentioned, that's one reason why I don't mind sticking around afterwards or just having conversations. It's not stuff you can really have during a professional meeting, but it's the dialogue that's important, so. And thank you to Parker for reminding me everything I had to say tonight.
All right. Agenda item, well, we're still on there. Agenda item 17, roundtable discussion from council and mayor. I'm going to start with Council Member Westover.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, this Saturday, the Allegan Beer Fest is happening from 2 to 8 at the fairgrounds. There'll be 19 breweries and live music throughout the day. Come on out.
Thank you. Council Member Walker?
This Friday, this Friday?
No.
No, next Friday. Next Friday. Coffee with Council at Trowbridge Plaza. I will not be there, so anyone else
Can
can
join.
make it with.
These two are
All
going
right,
to go.
all right, awesome. Awesome. That's it, thank you.
All right, Council Member Hooker.
I think Councilmember Walker just covered it. I was just going to say Mayor Pro Tem Hands and I will be there from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. May 2nd, hanging out in the plaza. So please come down and chat with us or ask any questions if you have any. Thank you.
All right, and Mayor Pro Tem Hans?
Yep, just clarify, that's the plaza, the new plaza that's down here across from Mugshots, so you don't show up at the wrong place, so I'll be there from 8 to 10. Nothing else for me.
All right, I have nothing besides thanking everybody for coming out, and I appreciate all of the comments and feedback we received. And with that, I will close the meeting at 8:42.